Assalamu everyone, welcome to the second episode of Weekend Reads. In the previous episode, we had covered the structures of a habit and how habits form. We'll be moving our discussion further along this time, and our key focus will be on how to form new habits and ensure that those new habits sustain over a period of time. Because we all have faced this issue that we start something, we start a good habit and we try to stick to it, but after a couple of weeks, somehow or the other, we fail to sort of stick to it and it just fizzles away. So I will be covering a few case studies that this book mentions. The book, just a reminder, is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And we'll be looking at a couple of case studies that the author has presented. One is about Pepsodent and how the toothpaste company was able to bring about a massive revolution in terms of consumer behavior in the United States of America. We will then also look at another case study about Febreeze, which was a product introduced by P&G, and how that product was a failure in the start. But then later on, they tweaked something regarding their marketing campaign and how it turned into a success almost overnight. And then based on these two case studies, we will distill certain principles that will allow us to understand the key ingredients that are required to ensure that habits form. And then we'll also cover a bit about why we tend to sort of fall away from the habit that we have formed, and why do we give up on a certain good habit that we have formed, and how we can ensure that we stick to that habit. So let's get right into it, right? So just a quick recap of the previous episode. We talked about what constitutes a habit loop. There is a cue which triggers a certain routine, and that routine leads to a certain reward, which then our minds told that this is an important loop that we can recall again and again. But here an interesting question arises, and I'm sure you guys have also wondered, if there is a cue, what is that one thing that ensures that we will act on that cue? For instance, if I have to get up in the morning and brush my teeth, right? Okay, so I have developed a habit, but what is forcing me to ensure that every day when I get up, I go to the washroom and I brush my teeth? What is that motivating factor? Why do I almost instinctively do that? Where does that habit begin, and where do we ensure that that habit is sustained? And here an interesting concept is introduced, and this is the concept of craving for the reward that we are receiving at the end of the habit. We'll get into it in a bit. Let's just introduce the first case study at this point, which is about the Pepsodent toothpaste. Now, this is a time when brushing your teeth is not something that's very common. It's hard to imagine it right now, because now almost all of us have this habit that when we wake up in the morning, almost the first thing that we do is we go and brush our teeth. So it's a little hard to imagine a time which is not too long ago where this was not true, and people were not as bothered about the dental hygiene and all of the things associated with it. So Pepsodent wanted to launch their toothpaste product, and they wanted to ensure that people would use that on a regular basis to drive up their sales and so on and so forth. And they would they hired somebody to look after their advertising and marketing campaign, and they the person sort of read up on different texts, and he sort of came to a very interesting conclusion. So what he figured out was that when we wake up in the morning, you would feel that you can feel it right now as well. There is a bit of a rough layer on our teeth when we wake up in the morning. There's a little bit of roughness. What that basically is a film of mucus that develops overnight, or a time for when we are fasting, or anytime when we are not using a mouth to eat or drink something. So what he figured out was that he could use this as a very interesting cue and attach it to the concept of dental hygiene. But there's another interesting thing that he did. He didn't just say to the people, oh, look, that film that that you can feel on your teeth when you wake up in the morning, you need to remove it by brushing your teeth, by using our product, and you will have good dental hygiene. He also added a very interesting element to it, and something that we've all experienced. It's the element of vanity, because ह्यूमन नेचर का एक अजीब सा ऐसा है कि हमें अपनी सेहत से ज़्यादा अपनी अपीयरेंस का ख्याल होता है. इफ़ यू गो टू अ जिम and if you would ask people around, a lot of people in the gym would be working out for the sake of their appearance, and not just for the sake of that we need to have a nice healthy body. There will be those people, but a lot of people are working out just so that they can look nice and they can look buff and ripped. So usne, and same goes for your teeth as well, right? A lot of people brush their teeth not because it's good dental hygiene, it is, but also because there is a sense of vanity attached to it, that you'll have nice bright white teeth. So what he said that the film that you are now feeling on your teeth, this film is basically stopping you from having that amazing beautiful white teeth. Who wouldn't want white teeth, right? So that was a very strong pull factor, a very strong craving that people would then later on develop. And here is a very interesting fact: the toothpaste that you use, you don't necessarily need to brush your teeth to with a certain toothpaste, or with any toothpaste really, to remove that film. You could very easily just get rid of the film that develops by eating something. So if you were having a little roughness in your teeth when you wake up in the morning, you can just go and have an apple or something, or eat something, or you can just use your finger and rub on your teeth, and you will be able to get rid of that, and you will have that feeling would be gone. But he attached it in a very smart way to this idea that you have to brush your teeth with this toothpaste on regular basis every day, so that you can achieve that nice white teeth, and it will also be good for your dental hygiene. Now the key is that you have to develop that habit of using it every day. So what he ensured was, he was now using a very simple, obvious cue. It's so hard to miss that you wake up in the morning and you would almost have that feeling that your teeth are not feeling very smooth. You feel like they're not fresh, so you want to go into the washroom and you want to use your take out the toothpaste and brush your teeth. So there's a very simple cue to it, and then there is an actual well-defined reward he was attaching, that you will have nice white teeth. But another thing is, the reward of nice bright teeth, you don't necessarily get it immediately after one time you brush your teeth, right? It happens over time. And in the previous chapter, we had learned, when we looked at the example of the monkeys who were pushing down levers to get their favorite juice, is that you need to have an instant reward to recognize that habit and ensure that habit loop functions. So how did they ensure that they could get a well-defined reward out of it, even though you can't promise somebody that just because you will brush your teeth X number of times you will have bright white teeth, right? You can't promise that. So what they did was, the Pepsodent toothpaste had a bit of citric acid into its chemical composition, and that gave a sort of a bit of an irritation once you use that toothpaste, and you give a little tingling sensation. And now almost all toothpaste in the world that you would use even today, you will have that feeling that after you brush your teeth, you will feel a little bit of an irritation, a little bit of a tingliness in your mouth. What people started doing was, they started associating that feeling of tinglingness with the fact that the toothpaste is working and my teeth are clean and nice and bright. Even though research has clearly proven that the feeling of tingliness has absolutely nothing to do with the functioning of the toothpaste. But what it was doing was, in the minds of the consumer, all of us, we were construing that feeling of tingliness with the fact that the product is working and that I'm getting nice bright teeth and they're smooth and they're shiny, all of that. So here's a very interesting thing that we have, we can sort of see from this case study, is that one, you need to have a very simple and obvious cue. Everybody, when we wake up in the morning, we'll feel यार दांत साफ नहीं लग रहे, we have to go and brush. So एक क्यू तो बहुत ऑटोमेटिकली है. फिर आप जो भी टूथपेस्ट इस्तेमाल करते हैं उसके अंदर एक जो होता है, when you brush that toothpaste, तो वो फिल्म हट जाती है. हालांकि वो फिल्म कुछ खाने से भी हट सकती है, बट क्योंकि हम वो टूथपेस्ट इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं तो उससे वो फिल्म गायब हो जाती है, और जो आपकी जो टूथपेस्ट के अंदर जो केमिकल कॉम्पोजिशन है उसके एक सर्टेन इरिटेशन हमें माउथ में फील होती है, विच इज एक्चुअली आवर ब्रेन इंटरप्रेटिंग इट एज अ रिवॉर्ड फंक्शन, कि आपका जो है ना, ये आपके दांत साफ हो गए, ये टिंगलीनेस इस चीज को सिग्नल कर रही है कि आपके दांत जो है वो क्लीन हो चुके हैं. अच्छा, अब इसके अंदर ये होता है कि इसकी क्रेविंग ऐसे बढ़ती है, अब हम क्रेव कर रहे हैं उस टिंगलिंग फीलिंग को, बिकॉज वो जो हल्की सी इरिटेशन होती है, हम उसको अब किस चीज से कंस्ट्रू करते हैं कि यार फ्रेश फील कर रहे हैं आप, और वो जो फीलिंग ऑफ फ्रेशनेस है अब हम वो क्रेव करते हैं एट द टाइम जैसे ही हमें फील होता है कि हमारे दांत जो है वो साफ नहीं है. तो क्यू के वक्त ही हमें वो रिवॉर्ड की जो है ना क्रेविंग अपने आप मिल जाती है, जिसकी वजह से विच फोर्सेस अस टू गो एंड ब्रश आवर टीथ सो दैट वी कैन इंस्टेंटली हैव दैट फीलिंग ऑफ फ्रेशनेस इन आवर माउथ. तो एक तो ये, दिस इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग केस स्टडी एंड दिस इज हाउ दे वर एबल टू ब्रिंग अबाउट अ मैसिव रेवोल्यूशन इन टर्म्स ऑफ कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर, स्पेशली इन यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स, where people started using toothpaste on regular basis. तो इससे हमें दो तीन चीजें तो पता लगी, सिंपल ऑब्वियस क्यू होना चाहिए और एक ऐसा रिवॉर्ड हो जिसको आप क्रेव कर सकें, दैट विल फ्यूल द हैबिट, दैट विल फ्यूल यू टू एक्ट ऑन दैट क्यू. So let's now look at the example of P&G and how they introduced a product which was called Febreeze. And the purpose of the product was कि if you know आजकल के जो हमारे जो डिटर्जेंट्स हैं, all of that, we have, you know, they have certain smell and certain fragrance to it. Back in the day, the detergents did just one thing, that they just cleaned your house or like your clothes or whatever. So the bad smells, if somebody was living in a house with pets or somebody was using certain ingredients जिनकी एक certain odor होती है, that wouldn't go away. So they introduced this product के से, you know, your house will not have bad smells, और उसकी एक tagline भी ये थी कि it will eliminate bad smells. अब इसका क्यों तो बहुत सिंपल है भाई, जिन लोगों के घर में स्मेल आती है, जिन लोगों की या ऑफिस पे या वर्क स्पेस में कहीं पे स्मेल आती है, दे वुड बी यूजिंग दैट प्रोडक्ट. एंड एक सिंपल क्यू भी है, आपको स्मेल आई है, पता लगेगा हाँ मेरा घर साफ, मतलब स्मेल आ रही है, तो आई नीड टू गो एंड आई नीड टू यूज दैट स्प्रे सो दैट वो स्मेल खत्म हो जाए. तो बजाहिर तो इस प्रोडक्ट को बहुत सक्सेसफुल होना चाहिए था, राइट? एक्चुअली नहीं, बिकॉज द प्रोडक्ट फेल्ड मैसिवली, और इसमें काफी इन्होंने इन्वेस्टमेंट की थी, वो बहुत बुरे तरीके से फेल कर गया. तो what they did was they conducted some, you know, post campaign research की, कि पता लगा कि लोग क्यों नहीं इस्तेमाल करे. तो they picked up on something later on which they should have at the start of it. वो ये थी कि if you live in a space where there is a certain amount of smell and if you exist in that space for a certain period of time, तो आपके your senses will not be able to pick up on those smells. अगर आप एक ऐसी जगह पे रहते हैं जहाँ पे एक सर्टेन किस्म की ऑर्डर या स्मेल है, तो कुछ अरसे बाद यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू पिक अप ऑन दैट बिकॉज यू विल बी डिसेंसिटाइज्ड टुवर्ड्स इट. तो उनका वो जो क्यू था, जो बजाहिर बहुत सिंपल लग रहा था कि हाँ आपको एक बुरी स्मेल आएगी और आप जाके वो फेब्रीज वाला स्प्रे इस्तेमाल करेंगे, वो क्यू ट्रिगर ही नहीं हो रहा था बिकॉज द पीपल हु देयर टारगेट ऑडियंस वो नॉट इवन रजिस्टरिंग दैट क्यू. तो उन्होंने कहा कि यार अब what do we do about it? तो उन्होंने उस प्रोडक्ट को they completely turned it over its head. Rather than use it as a product to sort of kill bad smells, they packaged it in a way that this is a fragrance product that you need to use once your house is clean. And उसकी tagline was something along the lines of clean house smells. So the idea was कि जब आप when you're done with your cleaning, everybody would clean their house. So after that, you know, once you've made your bed, you've cleaned your room, you would just, you know, pop a few sprays of that of Febreeze around just to get the nice feeling. अब वो जो स्प्रे था जो इनिशियली क्यू पॉइंट पे उन्होंने इस्तेमाल करना था, वो अब एक रिवॉर्ड बन गया. और वो जो एक अच्छी खुशबू है और एक बेसिक ह्यूमन साइकी कि हमें वी लाइक नाइस स्मेल्स, वी वांट आवर थिंग्स टू स्मेल नाइस, वी वांट आवरसेल्व्स टू स्मेल नाइस, एंड तो उसकी वजह से by using that product as a reward, अब लोग उसको क्रेव करने लगे. और जब उन्होंने बाद में उसको लॉन्च किया, काफी सक्सेसफुल हुआ, and they went and they talked to the people who had been using it. They said that we now, when we clean our house, we want our house to smell nice as soon as we clean it. So वो अब वो एक instant एक reward trigger होना शुरू हो गया कि हमें as a reward उसको इस्तेमाल करना है और वो fragrance आनी चाहिए, because they were understanding कि अगर मेरा घर साफ है तो उस घर साफ होने के बाद उसमें एक अच्छी खुशबू आनी चाहिए, और वो एक अच्छी खुशबू जो थी that became a craving, और वो फिर उसका जो है ना प्रोडक्ट का इस्तेमाल बढ़ गया. तो इन दोनों केस स्टडीज को शेयर करने का मकसद ये था कि इसके अंदर से हमने दो तीन प्रिंसिपल्स अब हमारे सामने आ गए. नंबर वन, द क्यू दैट यू हैव नीड्स टू बी सिंपल एंड वेरी ऑब्वियस एंड इजीली रेप्लिकेबल, और आइडेंटिफाई होना आसान होना चाहिए. एंड आपका जो रिवॉर्ड हो वो वेल डिफाइंड हो, वेरी क्लियरली डिफाइंड रिवॉर्ड के ऊपर आप एक्ट कर रहे हो. एंड उस रिवॉर्ड की क्रेविंग डेवलप होना जरूरी है, बिकॉज द क्रेविंग विल बेसिकली फ्यूल यू टू एक्ट ऑन दैट क्यू. अब नाउ लेट्स कम टू द एज ओल्ड क्वेश्चन कि अगर मैं एक्सरसाइज करना शुरू करता हूं तो एक दो हफ्ते में एक्सरसाइज करता हूं या हम एक्सरसाइज करते हैं और उसके बाद हम एक्सरसाइज करना छोड़ देते हैं, उसकी वजह क्या है? जस्ट थिंक फॉर अ मोमेंट, जब आप एक्सरसाइज करना शुरू करते हैं, व्हाट इज योर मोटिवेशन टू वर्क आउट? ज्यादातर दो मोटिवेशंस होती हैं, बीइंग वेरी सिंपल. एक तो ये होती है यू वांट टू बी हेल्दी, यू वांट टू बी फिट, एक तो ये चीज है. दूसरी मोटिवेशन होती है यू वांट टू लुक गुड, दैट्स फेयरली कॉमन. अब इन दोनों जो डिजायर्ड आउटकम्स हैं, जो कि इस सिचुएशन में हमारे रिवॉर्ड्स हैं, ये दे नॉट वेरी क्लियरली डिफाइंड इन द सेंस कि इंस्टेंटली आपको ये नहीं मिल सकते. आप 2 दिन जाके जिम में एक्सरसाइज करेंगे और यू विल रन अ फ्यू माइल्स, यू वोंट सडनली स्टार्ट लुकिंग गुड और यू वोंट सडनली बी वेरी हेल्दी. तो उसकी वजह से अब होता है कि हम एक हफ्ता एक्सरसाइज करते हैं, 2 हफ्ता एक्सरसाइज करते हैं, हमें उस तरह के ड्रास्टिक रिजल्ट नहीं नजर आते जो कि वैसे भी अनरियलिस्टिक है एक्सपेक्ट करना कि हमें मिलेंगे। तो दैट्स वाई वो रिवॉर्ड उस तरीके से हमें मिलता नहीं है जिसकी वजह से हमारी वो क्रेविंग डेवलप नहीं होती। सो बेस्ड ऑन द प्रिंसिपल्स दैट यू जस्ट आउटलाइंड, इट वुड बी अ बेटर स्ट्रैटेजी कि आपका जो रिवॉर्ड हो वो कोई ऐसी चीज हो जो इंस्टेंटली आपको मिल सके। अच्छा, उसमें ऐसा है कि यू कुड ईदर हैव समथिंग लाइक वंस इफ आई वर्क आउट, आई एम गोइंग टू आफ्टर वर्किंग आउट, आई एम गोइंग टू गिव माई सेल्फ 1 hour where I can watch my favorite show or a film and I'm going to be completely, I'm not going to feel guilty about it, ठीक है। एक तो ये हो सकता है, तो आप उसको उस पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट को, उस पर्टिकुलर रिवॉर्ड को क्रेव करेंगे, चलो ठीक है यार अभी एक्सरसाइज कर लेते हैं, बट एक्सरसाइज करने के फौरन बाद जो है ना मुझे वो फिल्म देखने या मैं अपना शो देख पाऊंगा। तो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम आप अपनी एक्सरसाइज की रूटीन को उस रिवॉर्ड से लिंक कर देते हैं और उसको क्रेव कर रहे होते हैं। एक और चीज हो सकती है दैट यू वुड सॉर्ट ऑफ गिव योरसेल्फ, द बुक टॉक्स अबाउट दिस, दैट यू कुड सॉर्ट ऑफ give yourself a bit of a snack that you could have, a shake or a chocolate or something. I personally, in my opinion, it's not a very good thing to do, because I remember I read an article somewhere about being good makes you bad, in the sense when you do something good and then you reward yourself with doing something bad which is detrimental to your gains, तो उसका फायदा नहीं होता। आपने एक्सरसाइज किया, सब कुछ किया, then you go and you have some processed sugars, तो आपकी एक्सरसाइज करने का जो फायदा है वो जरा कम हो जाता है। But you would have a healthy snack, fruits or something on that lines. Or, and this the third one I believe is the best possible way of ensuring that you exercise, कि आपका रिवॉर्ड होना चाहिए जो आपके एंडोर्फिन्स जो पंप होते हैं once you work out. So think about it, जब whenever you've gone out to work out, immediately after completing your workout or towards the end of your workout, you start feeling a little light, you start feeling a little fresh. There's a hormone of endorphin that is being pumped into your bloodstream, and that makes you feel good. It's and that really helps you sort of have that nice feeling, you're feeling light, you're feeling airy. That's a good thing. So what you could do is you could start craving that feeling of having the feeling of that endorphin is inducing into your body, और उस फीलिंग को चेज करते हुए जो है ना आपका एक्सरसाइज का लूप चलता रहेगा। एंड दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट दिस बुक आल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट, दैट देयर वर लॉट ऑफ पीपल whose basic reward that they were getting out of working out was that feeling of lightness that they were getting as a result of the endorphins, which is a feel good hormone. So once you, इसका एक सिंपल तरीका ये है कि वंस यू गो एंड यू वर्क आउट, उसके बाद आप अच्छा फील करें ना, जस्ट रियली रिमेंबर दैट फीलिंग, रिमेंबर कि मैंने भी एक्सरसाइज किया है उसके बाद मैं अच्छा फील कर रहा हूँ, एंड देन जस्ट फिक्स इट, ऑब्सेस ओवर दैट फीलिंग दैट यू हैव डेवलप्ड। तो उससे क्या होगा, कभी कभी ऐसे दिन होंगे आप कॉलेज या ऑफिस से वापस आते हैं, यू ट्राइंग टू गो आउट एंड वर्क आउट और हिम्मत नहीं हो रही आपकी, बट बिकॉज by that time you have developed the craving for वो एक अच्छी सी जो फीलिंग आपको after the end of the workout मिल रही है, उसको आप क्रेव करना शुरू कर देते हैं, तो that will sort of fuel you to go out and go to the gym or go for a run. और ये इतनी पावरफुल चीज़ है, a lot of people who work out regularly have said कि अगर हमारा बहुत डिफिकल्ट दिन भी होता है, we have worked out really hard, sort of worked at our office really hard, we are really tired, even at that time हम जब घर आते हैं we really just want to put on our trainers and go out and work, because वो जो feeling जो वो उनको मिलती है after working out, they feel that we feel more energized at the end of the workout. तो उस feeling को क्रेव करते हुए जो है ना बेसिकली दे आर एबल टू स्टिक टू देयर रूटीन एंड गोइंग एंड वर्किंग आउट। एक तो ये हो गया आपका, अब एक वेल डिफाइंड रिवॉर्ड आ गया, उसके साथ साथ आपका क्यू एक सिंपल क्यू होना चाहिए जो रेप्लिकेबल हो। योर क्यूज कुड वेरी सिंपली बी, you said that once I step into my house, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change into my trainers and I'm going to go out and work out. तो अब आपका जो क्यू जो बन जाएगा टू वर्क आउट इज बेसिकली कमिंग टू होम। इससे क्या होगा, अब आपका एक सिंपल क्यू भी आ गया और आपका एक बड़ा स्ट्रॉन्ग तगड़ा रिवॉर्ड भी आपको मिल रहा है जो इंस्टेंटली राइट एट द एंड ऑफ द वर्कआउट मिल रहा है। तो उसकी वो क्रेविंग भी डेवलप होगी ओवर टाइम, और उसकी वजह से वो क्रेविंग है जो आपको उस वक्त में वर्कआउट करने में हेल्प करेगी जब आपका दिल नहीं जा रहा है, आप 100 बहाने ढूंढ रहे हैं कि यार एक्सरसाइज आज नहीं करते, कल कर लेंगे, बट वो जो क्रेविंग है दैट विल सॉर्ट ऑफ पुश यू सो दैट यू कैन गो एंड सॉर्ट ऑफ वर्कआउट। और इस चीज को आप मुख्तलिफ जगहों पे भी इंप्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं। मैं अगर अपनी पर्सनल लाइफ से एग्जांपल दूं तो मुझे एक बहुत बड़ा एक मसला होता था कि व्हेन आई वुड वेक अप इन द मॉर्निंग आई वुडंट मेक माय बेड बिफोर गोइंग टू द यूनिवर्सिटी और गोइंग टू द ऑफिस। 1-2 दिन करता था और फिर छोड़ देता था, नहीं करता था। And I was like, ये क्यों नहीं हो पा रहा? And now I think it's been around a year where without fail, whether it's a weekday or whether it's a weekend, I will get up or I will sort of fold my sheets and I'll put them on the side of the bed, and I do that now out of habit. वो इस तरीके से हुआ कि I ensured कि मैंने I have to start my day with a win. So I created a very well-defined reward and I attached it to the act of folding my sheets. So what I told myself was, once I get up in the morning, when I fold my sheet and put, make my bed, तो I'm starting my day with a win. तो मेरा जो reward है जिसको मैं crave कर रहा हूँ वो ये है कि starting my day with a small win. The idea is कि वो जो feeling of वो जो है कि जो craving that win at the end of completing a task, वो जो है that fuels me to get up in the morning and फटाफट जो है ना अपनी क्यू तो बहुत सिंपल है, सुबह उठने, that's the cue of getting up and making my bed, and that has really helped me. I've personally done this. It took a little bit of a time, but I've been able to develop this habit. अच्छा, एक चीज, full disclosure out there, this sounds very simple because it is very simple. It's not very difficult to understand these concepts, but it is very difficult to implement. It takes a lot of time. As I said in the previous episode as well, you need to devote some really conscious effort into sort of changing the bad habits. And the next episode we will go into a lot more detail about how do you change bad habits, how do you map over the bad habits. So it will take some effort, but once you know what you have to do, now that you have a blueprint of forming a new habit, I believe you can go about and make some very valuable changes in your lives. I hope this will help you make some changes, and I would love to hear about the things that you have done, you have implemented in your life after learning about these ideas. So let me know in the comment section below. I'll catch you in the next episode. We will be talking about how do you change those bad habits. So stay tuned for more. For now, Allah Hafiz.